The Bruin ruling has come down in a major victory for gun rights. The Supreme Court has ruled that May issue states are in violation of the Second and the 14th Amendment, and they must issue permits. I'm glad to see it. I was hoping for the 1 in a million broad ruling where the Supreme Court would just be like, any permitting is a violation of your rights. But we have Brett Kavanaugh to thank for blocking that, because Kavanaugh wrote in concurrence, no, states are allowed to require permits. Bye-bye. Okay. I'll take the win where I can get it. Let me break it down for you so I don't bury the lead. There are 6 states and D.C. that claim to issue concealed carry permits because you have to. You cannot block someone from keeping and bearing arms. In Heller and McDonald, 2 cases, they have set forth your right to keep and bear arms is an individual right, and it extends outside of your home. So what happens is you get many states like New York, like Hawaii, you get D.C., and they go, okay, we'll give you a concealed permit. You go and apply, and they go, what's your reason for wanting a concealed permit? And you say, self-defense, wham, you're out. Well, hey, that's not fair, right? In this case, it goes beyond that. One of the plaintiffs said, at first, just self-defense, and they went, bye-bye. They give you what's called a restricted permit, meaning that you can go to and from work or something, but you can't carry it in public. So a few years later, this dude comes back and he's like, there's a major string of violent robberies in my area. I need to carry this weapon. And they went, oh, that sounds like a real reason. Get out. The Supreme Court came down with Clarence Thomas for the majority. Thomas, of course, being a genius. And he laid it out and was like, dude, you can't do that. You can't be like, here's the criteria for which you can get a concealed carry permit and then arbitrarily reject people. Further, they go on to say requiring a valid reason is a violation of our Second and 14th Amendment rights. Surprisingly, of all people, Brett Kavanaugh, after facing an assassination attempt and constant illegal protest at his own home, goes on to say the 43 states that have shall issue permitting laws can keep them because the states have a right to determine whether or not you have permission from the state to have a gun. Can I just say that again, Brett, in case you didn't hear me? A permit is permission from the state. Okay. Well, Brett is of the opinion that you need permission, that they can't infringe upon your right to have one, but they can require permission. How does that make sense? The right to keep and bear arms exists. It is of the people. Clarence Thomas clearly says it, but again, I will take what I can get because this is a victory. This means very likely in Maryland, you got to issue these permits. Now, in Maryland, it's so ridiculous, and in D.C. it's so ridiculous that people don't even make it to this point. It takes too long, so many people just give up on trying to get their permits. They're infringing on your right. Here's the story. And then, my friends, we must venture forward to the beautiful land of Twitter because we will bask in the liberal tears, falsely framing what's going on, lying to people about what the Supreme Court ruling means, because this is what they do. And then we'll gloat. Town Hall. Supreme Court announces massive Second Amendment ruling. The Supreme Court on Thursday handed down its opinion in a landmark Second Amendment case, the biggest win for gun rights since the court's Heller ruling, holding that New York's proper cause requirement violates the 14th Amendment by preventing law-abiding citizens with ordinary self-defense needs from exercising their Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms in public for self-defense. Clarence Thomas, you're a genius. Such a big fan. The ruling came... I love this joke. People, when Ketanji Brown Jackson was up for confirmation, or going through the confirmation hearings, all these liberals were like, Republicans just don't want a black person on the Supreme Court. And Republicans were all coming out like, the black guy is literally the only one I like. Clarence Thomas is awesome. Race is irrelevant. The issue is he is a great legal mind who gets it. And he's fair and he's honest. I don't think Kavanaugh is necessarily wrong when he's talking about states having permits and stuff. It's an interpretation I don't agree with. Here we go. The ruling came down 6-3 with Clarence Thomas writing the majority opinion, joined by Roberts, Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett, plus concurring opinions by Alito and Kavanaugh. Justices Breyer wrote the dissent, joined by Sotomayor and Kagan. Thomas's opinion explains in part that confining the right to bear arms to the home would make little sense given that self-defense is the central component of the Second Amendment right itself. He wrote, in D.C. v. Heller and McDonald v. Chicago, we recognize the Second Amendment, Second and 14th Amendment protect the right of an ordinary law-abiding citizen to possess a handgun in the home for self-defense. In this case, petitioners and respondents agree that ordinary law-abiding citizens have a similar right to carry handguns publicly for their self-defense. We too agree and now hold, consistent with Heller and McDonald, that the Second and 14th Amendments protect an individual's right to carry a handgun in self-defense outside the home. Great. Thomas explained, the Second Amendment doesn't take a back seat to their other God-given rights defined by the Bill of Rights as belonging to the people and not to be infringed upon by the government. In his concurring opinion, Alito noted that today, unfortunately, many Americans have good reason to fear that they will be victimized if they are unable to protect themselves. And today, no less than in 1791, the Second Amendment guarantees their right to do so. The landmark decision was immediately celebrated by Second Amendment advocates, many of whom pointed out that Thomas's majority opinion was released on his birthday. Oh, wow. Happy birthday, Clarence Thomas. You know, it's not often that on someone's birthday, they give you a present, but talk about a good guy. Wow. You know, it's his birthday and he's bestowing this gift upon us. Thank you, good sir. Within moments, though, the usual leftist pundits, I got to stop you right there. Leftists like guns, town hall. It's the liberals that don't. Not all leftists, mind you. Leftist pundits on CNN and elsewhere were quick to beclown themselves by ignoring what the ruling actually says and launching into nonsense. CNN's greatest legal mind, Lubin Tubin, is a prime example. Okay, let's hear what he has to say.
We know that in the United States, you have the right under the First Amendment to say pretty much anything anywhere because we have freedom of speech in the United States. What the conservatives on the Supreme Court are saying is we want the Second Amendment to be a first-class right like the First Amendment. Yeah. And we want to be able to carry guns anywhere, anytime, without any sort of regulation by the government.
I got to stop you right there. That is an outright lie by Tubin. In this tweet from Rick Hasen, he says, from a very quick look, the most important 3 pages in the gun case, Bruin, is Kavanaugh's 3-page concurrence. It seeks to limit the reach of the majority and reaffirms limits on gun rights in 43 states. Don't play these games, Tubin. The corporate press lies. You know they lie.
Background checks without restrictions on where you can take a weapon, without restrictions on how you can carry a weapon.
Wrong.
Now, they haven't gone that far yet. But they are clearly moving in that direction. And,
Good.
You know, we can't separate this issue from what's going on in the world, where, you know, we have a tremendous problem with gun violence in this country. We have mass shootings. We have 18-year-olds with accesses.
Yeah, Alito actually addressed the gun shooting thing, and he was like, I think it was Alito. He goes, the state in question is New York, which restricts access. The shooting in question that you're bringing up took place in New York. How did this gun law do anything to stop it? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So this is great. I'll add this. Ladies and gentlemen, I was right. And all of those whiny liberals can cry about it. The Second Amendment protects your right to own nukes. Don't take my word for it. I give you this passage from the actual ruling. Maybe I should not zoom in because it's easier to read if I don't. We have already recognized in Heller at least one way in which the Second Amendment's historically fixed meaning applies to new circumstances. Its reference to arms does not apply only to those arms in existence in the 18th century. Just as the First Amendment protects modern forms of communications and the Fourth Amendment applies to modern forms of search, the Second Amendment extends prima facie, how do you pronounce it, to all instruments that constitute bearable arms, even those that were not in existence at the time of the founding. Thus, even though the Second Amendment's definition of arms is fixed according to its historical understanding, that general definition covers modern instruments that facilitate armed self-defense. Now, I know. Maybe I'm being a little bit hyperbolic. Can you bear a nuclear weapon? Is a nuclear weapon used for self-defense? I'm going to go ahead and make the argument you can bear it, and it is used for self-defense. But maybe that's not what Thomas is trying to say. Tactical nukes are not that big. Is a crew-served weapon a bearable arm? I'd say yes, it is. Cannons were considered protected. Cannons cannot be carried. Bear does not mean to hold, means to be in control of and possess. And self-defense? Well, yeah. I mean, a 50 caliber belt-fed turret, butterfly trigger or whatever, on the top of a building in a military base or whatever, that's self-defense, right? And can a person bear that weapon? Yes, they can be on it, holding it in full control of bearing that weapon. That's how I see it. I said, okay, but more realistically, if the legal argument is what you can bear, then light machine guns, bazookas, and etc. are all protected. So you'll love to see it. Now let's cruise on through. What do we got here? Alito. We already read this one, but I have it from Tom Fitton, just to reiterate, saying people are concerned about their safety these days. I want to show you this map here I got from Wikipedia. And this map shows the current gun laws in the United States. The green states are the good guys. The green states are constitutional carry, of which there are 25. You can see that New Hampshire and Vermont are constitutional carry. Vermont doesn't even have permits. They're like, have a gun. Yeah, okay, Bernie. You got Maine. Look at this. You got Ohio. You got Iowa. You got the Dakotas. You got Wyoming, Idaho. You got my great state, West Virginia. Now, if you look over to the right of West Virginia, you get Maryland. And that state is not green. It is yellow. Yellow is may issue. Uh-oh. New Jersey, New York, and Long Island, well, those are red. It says no issue in practice. Hawaii, no issue in practice. Well, what does that mean? Okay. The blue states are shall issue states, meaning if you apply, they have to give it to you. There's the criteria. You meet the criteria. Here you go. The green states, you don't need one. In West Virginia, you can walk into a gun store. You give them your ID. You fill out the background check. You buy the weapon. You get the holster. You put it in your waistband. You walk out. You're all good. That's constitutional carry. Texas is. Florida is moving towards constitutional carry as well, empowering the people to defend themselves. But in parts of New York, most of it, it is no issue. They say it's may issue, but here's what happens. In New York City mostly, and in other cities, you'll apply and they'll be like, what's your reason? And you'll say, someone tried to kill me. Too bad you're not rich, you're not famous. In Maryland and New Jersey, it's the same way. When I was trying to get a gun in New Jersey, first of all, they lied to me left and right. Here's how you do it. Here's how you do it. It was nuts. Finally, I was able to get my permits and everything, and it took like 2 months. So, in New Jersey, I was told I need a legitimate reason. And I was told that for the most part, they won't give you one. If you do work and you're like an armored truck driver or whatever, they'll give you a work permit. We have there are many people I know. They're allowed to carry to and from work because you can't really get one in Maryland. That's done now. Now they have to give it. But you still got to get a permit. You got to take a class. You got to file paperwork. You got to pay. Not all perfect. But they're now going to be blue. They are going to be shall issue states. Thank you, Supreme Court. All right. Let's see how the left is handling this. The liberal tiers. Mark Joseph Stern with a bold-faced lie. Before today, about 83 million people, one in every four Americans, lived in a state that strictly limited concealed carry to those who had a heightened need for self-defense. Now, 0 people live in such a state. Wrong. You're a liar, sir. The plaintiff, I believe it was Koch. There's 2 plaintiffs here. The plaintiff Koch applied saying there's violence and robberies in my area. I need to protect myself. I have a heightened need for self-defense because of this string of crime. And they said too effing bad. So no. The issue was they were claiming here's the boxes to check off to get the gun. And when you did, they would go, man, we're not going to give you one anyway, and crumple it up and throw it in the garbage. He says Thomas's opinion for the court suggests that judges may not consider empirical evidence about the dangers posed by firearms when evaluating gun control laws. They may only ask whether a modern regulation has some analog that is rooted in American history. Yeah, that's called being right. All right, we got more. Neil Katyal. This verified Twitter user with 14,000 retweets says, "Going to be very weird if Supreme Court ends a constitutional right to obtain an abortion next week, saying it should be left to the states to decide, right after it just imposed a constitutional right to concealed carry of firearms, saying it cannot be left to the states to decide. It's almost like one's an amendment and one's not." More importantly, the Supreme Court did not say there was a constitutional right to, they're not ruling on your right to bear arms. They're saying that is already in the Constitution. What they're saying is, stop arbitrarily denying people and lying about it. Kavanaugh explicitly states you can set the ground rules. The states do get to decide. Lies. Nothing but lies. It's Governor Kathy Hochul of New York. It is outrageous that in a moment of national reckoning on gun violence, the Supreme Court has recklessly struck down a New York law that limits those who can carry concealed weapons. You mean bans people from carrying it? In response to this ruling, we are closely reviewing our options, including calling a special session of the legislature. Just as we swiftly passed nation-leading gun reform legislation, I will continue to do everything in my power to keep New Yorkers safe from gun violence. We've got journalist Kate Brennan, who says, "I invite the judges who wrote today's opinion to come up to New York City and ride the subway in a world where concealed carry is allowed." My response is it because the criminals who want to kill people will now apply for a permit? I'm sorry. Do you think the people that are intent on hiding a gun to kill you with are telling the government they have them? Dude, please just think for 2 seconds. And then we have Timcast's good friend, Chris Hayes. He says, "I'm sorry, but the idea that the Constitution requires universal concealed carry is plainly insane." Bruin, and thankfully the concurrence, stops short of quite coming out and saying this, but the arrows point in a deranged direction. Keep crying, my friends. You are losing. I've told you why you're losing. Y'all gun grabbers are losing because you are too, I'll be nice, lazy to actually research guns, how they work, what semi-automatic means, what caliber certain weapons are. Because you prefer to dance around on mindless rhetoric, you lose. And you know what? Fine. I've talked to many a person who is a gun grabber and said, you're wrong about assault rifles. Assault rifles are already regulated. We have the Hughes Amendment. We've got the NFA. And they go, what are you talking about? A guy went and bought an assault rifle in like 10 minutes. You can buy it online. And I'm like, that's not true. You're not talking about assault rifles. Assault rifles are colloquially known to be selective fire rifles or machine guns. Assault weapon is a vague term that doesn't define anything universally. But they don't listen. So what happens is they come out and they go, assault rifles should be banned. And I go, okay. Look at this, the Hughes Amendment, 1986, and you win. Congratulations, go home. Fine. You know, if you don't want to do the research, if you don't know what you're talking about, don't be surprised when you lose. It's like, imagine two people were arguing over, someone said, I want to go get ice cream at Baskin Robbins. Someone said, I want to go to Cold Stone. And then someone said, I want to go to Arlington's. And then you were like, the furniture store? It's not a furniture store. You're like, okay, if we're going to have a debate about where we're going to buy ice cream, you just proposed a furniture store. So when we all talk, no one votes for your idea. And you're like, why won't we go there? I think Arlington's is furniture, right? Is that what it is? How about we do, what's that? What's the coat factory? Burlington Coat Factory. And it's just, okay, if 10 people are going to vote on where they're going to get ice cream and you're like, I want to go to Sweet Frog. Okay, well, all right. It's a yogurt place. You're a little off, but that works. Then someone else says Burlington Coat Factory, and you're like, bro, there's no ice cream there. And then you're just like, it's insane that we would not go to Burlington. And then you do. And there's no ice cream there. You wonder why it is no one's going to vote for your dumb ideas, because they make no sense. You reap what you sow. So you know what? I'm not going to cry about it. If these people don't want to do their homework, so be it. You will keep losing. Fine. But I'd like to give a special shout out to Brett Kavanaugh. Brett, what a dick. He said quite explicitly, first, the court's decision does not prohibit states from imposing licensing requirements for carrying a handgun for self-defense. In particular, the court's decision does not affect the existence of licensing regimes known as shall issue regimes that are employed in 43 states. The court's decision addresses only the unusual discretionary licensing regimes known as may issue regimes. All right. I'll take what I can get. New Jersey, New York, Hawaii, D.C., Maryland, parts of California. Y'all are now shall issue. So that's good news. Maybe I can now apply in the Maryland. But here's what we're doing. Maryland's trash. Maryland hates business. They beat you over the head if you run a business. They are terrible. So we're leaving. We're going to West Virginia. Now, we're building our new headquarters in West Virginia. You know, I actually I don't live in Maryland. I live in West Virginia. But we're doing construction, so it's a bit murky. But once the construction's done, we'll have the new HQ set up. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. We'll have a small recording stuff still going on at the castle in Maryland. But I learned my lesson. It was a mistake coming here. It was. And it's sad. We went over, I won't get into the nitty gritty, but it was a bad idea to set up in West Virginia. It was just better property. It's basically why we did it. We found the place where we can use it. So now we're getting set up in, you can see I'm already, over the past couple of weeks, been in an entirely new place because we're getting set up with our new headquarters. Changes are coming. And hopefully within the next 2 or 3 months, we will have the new West Virginia headquarters set up. And we will be saying goodbye to these awful states that hate business and hate your rights. However, I want to give a shout out to Shelley Moore Capito, the Republican senator from West Virginia, who just sold us out voting in favor of this provisionary gun control bill. It's not in effect yet, but mark my words, man. I will unleash political rhetoric if this goes through and she supports it. I'm already mad about it. These people think they can trample all over you. They think you won't notice and you won't care. Shout out to the Republican senator who deserves to be recalled, but you can't recall a senator. Come 2026, I will not have forgotten. And I'm not someone who's going to do something dumb like make a commercial where it's like, Shelley Moore Capito voted for gun control. That's dumb. No, I'm going to do more fun stuff, like opening a restaurant called Shelley Moore Capito is Trash, or starting a porta potty business that rents porta potties to local festivals, and we call them Shelley boxes. That's what I'm going to do, because I'm tired of playing these games. I'm tired of people getting crapped all over by the establishment elites, and then all they do is they're like, I'm going to keep complaining. That didn't work. They keep doing it. No, it's about sending a message. It's about saying, I'm just going to rag on you. And it will be it's not going to be political. You can do what you want. I'm just going to call you trash every opportunity I get. Now, I don't want to be too harsh, because if Shelley Moore Capito comes out and apologizes and says it was a bad idea and I made a mistake, I will accept that apology. So Shelley, I am asking you to rescind your support for the gun control bill, to apologize to the people of the great state of West Virginia, and it is a great state, standing up for freedoms all the way back to the Civil War. Apologize. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then. Shout out Clarence Thomas. You rock.